How is everybody doing today? Welcome back to the channel. This is Alex, and today we are going to be talking about, is Sony stock a buy right now? So basically Sony announced that they're going to be revealing their new PlayStation 5 basically in just like a week now or so, and it's basically brought a lot of attention because especially now in this time, a lot of people are on their PS4s, are on actually playing video games. So they're actually getting quite a bit of sales right now. Their stock isn't at where it was. It's still at about 10% less, even though it's getting all this revenue from people staying at home and playing video games. So we're going to be talking about, is Sony stock a buy today, and basically everything around that. Right before we jump into it, if you guys haven't already, make sure to sign up for Webull. Basically, there I'm gonna have a link down in the description. If you deposit and open up a brokerage with them, you'll get 2 free stocks. And basically, it's a free investing platform that I personally use. And basically, it's free money. You get 2 free stocks if you haven't signed up for it already. So, without further ado, let's just jump straight into this. So, basically, with their PS5 release, right? Basically, it's going to be releasing at the end of this year, basically holiday of 2020. And June 4, they're going to be showing off like the actual console. Now, PS4 has actually been ahead of their only competitor, which is within the console realm of these games, is obviously Xbox. But they've actually trampled Xbox sales. Like, Xbox did not make anywhere near enough sales than PS4 did. If you look at their chart, they basically exploded since the release, and they have over 110 million units sold since the release of PS5. Now, as you can see, the sales kind of like basically didn't really go up after 2018. The sales stayed around 90 million, and they didn't pass 90 million up until the last 6 months. They actually went up 10 million sales within the last 6 months, which is actually pretty good. That's almost as good as they did within the first 6 months of their release, which is actually pretty crazy. But yeah, so if we look at they're basically, the thing is, at the end of a console's life cycle, right, when the consoles gets outdated, like, people aren't buying it. So seeing that it jumped up that many sales within the last 6 months, that actually is pretty decent. Obviously, those consoles were probably cheaper because as the console gets older, they're actually worth less. So if we look at basically their balance sheet within the last year or so, they actually improved a little bit. This is March of the beginning of April. They actually didn't go down, even though February, March was a big thing. The obviously Corona was going on during that time, still is, but they actually didn't go down. They still went up a good amount, not as much as they did the last quarter, but they still managed to actually gain in their assets and stuff like that. So that's actually promising to see. But the only other it's at 65 right now, right? It basically, the great thing about this is that it has a P ratio of under 15, which if a stock is under 15, it's definitely a lot more intriguing. There is a dividend of about 0.5%, which isn't much, but it definitely means that they could be growing that dividend, and their actual like, if their earnings grow more, then their dividend will grow more as well. Now, they have a 77 billion market cap, which is pretty big for sure. If we look at I think this is more accurate, 80 billion. 80 billion is definitely big for sure, but it's not like too big, especially compared to a Microsoft or something like that. It's definitely a bigger company, so it's probably more of a safer investment, because obviously gaming is not all they do. They do a lot of other stuff in entertainment. They have even some financial services. They even have Sony Mobile, Sony Pictures. Obviously, Sony Pictures is a big one. But at the end of the day, they're an entertainment business, and their only real competitors are Microsoft and obviously the growing PC market. At the end of the day, these PS4 consoles are a pre-built computer, packaged for gaming. So if you don't want to spend $800, $600, $400 on a computer, you can spend $200, $300, $400 on a console, and you can play any game at like good graphics guaranteed. So what I've seen is that they're actually been fighting with Microsoft for game exclusivity. Obviously, Sony is bigger though, so they're actually able to get more exclusive games. So if you look at like PS4 exclusive games, you can see a lot of games that you can literally only buy if you have a PS4, which is big because that'll really like literally determine what the market actually wants. So I think a big one was the Spider-Man game that came out, I think last holiday. A lot of people bought PS4s because of that game, or maybe it was 2 years ago actually. But a lot of people bought PS4s because of it. These are like all the exclusive games. Uncharted is a pretty big game. Basically, it's only for PS4, right? You can't get it anywhere else. Horizon Zero Dawn, The Last of Us, Spider-Man, Marvel Spider-Man was a very big game that people bought PS4s just for this game, right? And then God of War is another pretty big game. These games get like hundreds of thousands of sales, right? And those sales can only happen within PS4. And obviously, to play PS4, you need like a PS4 Plus membership. That's like another way they make revenue. So as gaming as a whole, in my opinion, continues to grow, especially now after the pandemic, I think a lot more people are gonna play video games, especially like you can tell the culture around it. Older people are now playing more video games, right? So overall, this is definitely interesting for Sony. But the thing is, at the end of the day, they don't have the only proprietary thing they have is their name and obviously the consoles around it. They do have obviously those exclusive games. So as long as they have a strong brand and they continue to grow, this might be a pretty interesting buy. Now, in terms of am I personally buying it? I think this is Robinhood. So if you look at the Robinhood like the buy analyst rating, it has 90% buy rating. Now, I usually don't like looking at analyst rating because for example, I think Tesla's is like 50%, 40%, but like it's, in my opinion, it was still a buy, like even back in when it was cheap. So like analysts are usually not the smartest people to look to, but in my opinion, I do think this is definitely interesting to pick up some shares. I may be picking up some shares of Sony if it goes down under like 55, stuff like that, because it's definitely interesting. Now it bottomed out at like $50. So if it goes in the $50 mark, even 58, 59, I might pick up some shares of Sony and just keep it for the next 3 to 5 years. Maybe not that long, maybe 1 to 3 years at least, just to see what happens with this, because it's definitely an interesting play. I could see them maybe growing to over 100,000 market cap pretty easily. Now this is definitely a bit a stock where you don't want, I don't think it will be a stock that you can hold for 10 plus years, because I think in the future PCs and these custom PCs are going to be so cheap to build and to make that it may run these companies out of business. But we just have to wait and see. But I think Sony as of now is definitely a very interesting buy in terms of the gaming space. And once they release their PS5, I think that's going to be a really big money maker for them. When GTA comes out for that, especially, that's going to blow it up, because GTA, for example, you need an expensive computer to run GTA, $1,000 plus, and you need a PS4 or some kind of console to run it. That's the cheapest way, right? So I think that's going to be very big for Sony, especially since they're one of the biggest companies right now in terms of gaming. So in terms of the gaming console space. So it's going to be definitely an interesting thing to look at. So let me know what your thoughts about Sony is. Personally, I'm definitely very interested. It's in my watch list to see what happens. Right now, a lot of stocks are overvalued in the stock market, if you've seen my last videos. So I'm kind of like second guessing myself to add any more money to the market. But yeah, it's definitely another one that's very interesting to look at that I wanted to make a separate video on. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe to this channel, as I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of this year, guys. So if you guys can help me out, hit that 1,000 subscribers. Any one subscriber helps me out a lot. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you on my next video.